Welcome back to another episode of the Captain's Table podcast. This is a little different than your usual fare because, to be quite honest, we started off a question and answer session, the After Dark section, with my guests from the last episode. And they wanted to do a little bit of discussion on the silhouettes that we saw at CitizenCon and what ships were going to be coming to the end of this year. And that turned into an hour-long discussion. So instead of doing a very long, weird After Dark section, you're going to get a bonus episode with this. So hopefully you enjoy it. Thank you for watching. And if you like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us for more options, for more episodes. Like the video, and let me know down below any of your thoughts on what you think is actually going to come out. Without any further ado, let's get to the episode. With that being said, let's not get into the questions yet. Let's go into the supposition because we're going to talk.
Hashtag tangent time.
We're going to be talking about the weird silhouettes that were seen at the end of the CitizenCon last year and what we have left. So
really, what I was saying to Grim, what we were talking about this very briefly before you got back, was what I want to do is I want to look at the 4 unannounced ships on the roadmap because I think you can very safely predict what they are now.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was actually the Kruger Wolf.
Yeah.
Right, because at the time it wasn't announced.
5. But yeah.
Okay, so it drops to 4. Okay, well then maybe you do have one outlier, and that's the one Grim wants to talk about. But the other 3 are the 3 things left that are silhouettes.
Mm-hmm.
The Drake Flappy Bird. Now I can send you images if you want them, Paul. Do you want images?
Yeah, sure. Because I'm going to use them for the thumbnail anyways.
All right, cool. Give me a second. Shut. This is going to be boring. Fill the dead air, please, Grim.
You're not going to be able to call that Flappy Bird ship its real name after it's released because you've now solidified Flappy Bird in your mind.
He's just going to call it the Flappy Bird forever.
If they call it the Grim, I'm going to be very pissed. Let's just say that.
Okay. Ben Curtis, if you're watching,
do it. It'll be funny.
Call it the Grim.
All right, so let me pull this up so I can show this on.
And then that one. That's the last one. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up this. Save this image because I'm going to use it for the thumbnail for this part.
They're nice 4K ones too that Grim sent me. So yeah, you can thank Grim for those.
Thank you, Grim.
They see a lot of nice details you don't see in the.
All right, so I'm gonna this up here. So show everybody else this. So on screen now, you should be able to see, if you're watching this, you should see the Flappy Bird, as what Execute calls it. So what is your first thought on the Flappy Bird?
I think we'll start with Trispone stuff, actually. Do you want to start there?
You want to start with the other one?
Because he's the other person we talked to about this one. But
okay.
No. Trispone did a really nice image of this where he has done it as an industrial ship. And I kept going back to his image, and I also kept looking at this and going, why the hell would you make this thing land so awkwardly? And I couldn't get away from that, right? And I don't know if you guys have had the same realization, but you would never deliberately, intentionally land a vehicle in an unstable manner.
Yeah.
You would try to make it as stable as possible. Right, and therefore, based on that, I had to demise it had to be something to do with its function, right? And if you have a similar takeaway based on logic of that, therefore, what would that do, and why would it land in that function? And I just can't get away from the Pioneer and the Pioneer's extraction method. And you guys know as well as I do, they tend to like to separate out gameplay and do them individually on a ship to kind of, I don't know, prototype or perfect it before they put all those moving pieces into one big ship. Now we know the Pioneer is going to probably take 2 years in time for us, at least. I think that would be very reasonable to expect that if it's going to do some form of mining extraction, that they would put that into a singular ship. And I think this is it.
So because
the same thing, but yeah,
because I was brought on the show to counter everything you say, Paul explicitly brought me on the show for that.
Yes,
I would counter that with saying that that means you surmise that ground extraction is a feature coming out with this ship. But even furthermore than that, we know that ground extraction is, and the minerals contained in the ground is probably tied very closely to the Genesis system for building planets. They've talked a little bit about that. And that's the only reason I think that's not what this is, because to me, I don't think we're getting. Have we gotten any new ships this year that have new features associated with them?
No, not really.
And I'm gonna be honest, it's not exactly a new feature because if you think about it, it's literally just landing on a node. You'd be landing on top of a node. That's all it is. That's not a complicated feature. That's pretty
And to be
simple.
fair, I love that
space
idea.
Mhm.
I do love that idea of that being a ship that lands and can pull stuff from the ground like that. It would shock me if that's the case. Because again, I would think CIG would want to release it with ground
feature.
mining, essentially.
I don't know if we'll see this one, because this is one of those ones where it could be, but we also got to remember that they could also be something completely different in this. I could see them talking about this more in terms of like what they're doing with it, but I don't know. I think because of that reason, I think it was originally intended for that.
Maybe it knocks it down the road then. Maybe it does knock it down the road then. Yeah.
Now to counter that again, though, I would say that there are some features we know have still been in development and had a lot of work done to them, even up to a year ago. And one of the ones mentioned, I remember Trispone talking about a little bit too, was possibly a bounty hunting ship. We think bounty hunting's coming at some point. I could see bounty hunting coming on, or some limited form of it coming online in conjunction with the whole narrative story we've been playing this year. It seems like a minor, I don't want to call it a minor gameplay loop or feature, but it's sort of a minor thing that can maybe be added in, even certain parts of it. So I could see that. I mean, we all know it's just a Drake heavy fighter, but it could be a bounty hunting ship.
Well, I will give you the bounty hunting thing because it literally then be a tip of the hat to the slave too, wouldn't it? Which they can't. You can't call it the slave anymore. By the way, Lego refuses to call it the slave. Did you know that? They call it the. Yeah, they released Jango Fett's ship and they just called it the Jango Fett Starship.
Yeah,
they refused to call it the slave because of reasons. Yeah. Oh God, my child is slowly dying.
I do see it being a ground extractor, but I could also see it because these were announced before they realized they needed to do the year of stability. Yeah. So I do think that it could easily be. I don't think that weird. The thing about the bounty hunting ship is that it doesn't have to actually have bounty hunting functioning, because CIG's like their loophole of does it have gameplay is, can you technically do it in game right now even if it's not fully there? Yes, then it's in. That's what they do.
Well,
I do think bounty hunting is not that far away though, because scanning's on the roadmap to conclude soon, and that's the major feature that's missing for bounty hunting.
We should also caveat too that the ships in that silhouette video are not releasing in the next 12 months. They are going into production at some point.
Yeah.
So that Flappy Bird, for all intents and purposes, they could start production in December of this year. I mean, I doubt that's the case, but it could be.
True.
Right. So,
all true.
Do you want to go to the next one we have up there?
Yeah.
The CNOU ship.
So I'll do mine again first and just put my stuff on the line, and I'm happy to have you guys shoot me down. I don't mind. That's how I learn.
Let me pull up that picture real quick.
So the name, I didn't come up with this name. Chris Payne came up with this one, and I agree with him. It's a really good name. He called it the CNOU Frontier. If this is the one you're about to pull up.
Yep, there it is.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't really go into variants until just yesterday. But my initial one was, because this thing's so low to the ground, the way I come at it, and you guys correct me if you think I'm completely off the mark here, but for me, it was, what would a Pioneer need as a small little assistance craft? Right, that's kind of how I came at it, and I went, well, it creates vehicles. How are you going to deliver those vehicles elsewhere? So a ship that can essentially be a cargo delivery little ship. So I think kind of like Freelancer Max, but more tailored to just the vehicle, right? To just the medium vehicles that come out of the Pioneer. And I think that's kind of where this started. And then I started to think of, well, what could 2 variants be that would also assist the Pioneer? And I've now forgotten what they were. Salvage was one of them that someone come up with during the live
Fabrication?
stream, because well, if you want to take the houses down that you failed at building, you could then put those resources back into the Pioneer. And I'm trying to remember what the hell the other one was.
Fabrication?
We
wasn't
we
it
we
was
talked about surveying.
surveying. That was the other one. Yes, surveying, fabrication, and a deliberate vehicle transporter. They were the 3 that I liked the most. But feel free to add your own. More than likely, what I think this is the ship that's coming at CitizenCon. They traditionally release
Small.
like the MSR, the Spirit, the Zeus. It's that kind of in that ballpark type of what was meant to be a medium vehicle. So the MSR grew to a large, obviously.
Yeah.
But they tend to release the medium vehicles around CitizenCon. And they seem to be the most popular in the entire game because they're the most in the middle type of thing. So it's very comfortable to release a ship like that around that area. The other reason, we can go into why we think this is senior, but long story short, you need ships to bridge the gap to get to the Pioneer.
Yeah.
They've been working on the
Pioneer.
Pioneer all year. That makes sense that they were working on this as well.
Almost certainly, this is the closest thing to a CNOU ship we've seen, and almost certainly because they've been building kits. CIG always did this. They did this with Drake. They've done it with RSI. If they're working on kits, they're going to use that kit to find another ship to make because that helps them out to kind of factor things out. They wouldn't just be doing the Pioneer, and we don't have many ships other than the Nomad and the Mustang, and that's it, and the Hover Quad. Those are the only 3 vehicles. Even though, there are like 5 different versions of the Mustang, it's still the Mustang.
I remembered the law question I wanted to ask you. In the SCL, Ben hinted at an orange salvage ship. Now,
Argo.
from mine and our grids, but also Sinu.
Argo.
Steno's orange as well, mate.
I know.
That's where me and Argo went. We initially, like everyone else, went to Argo, and then someone in chat mentioned Sinu's also orange, and went, oh shit, he's right.
I mean, kind of.
Because the Pioneer. Look at the Pioneer. It's a giant orange solar panel.
Yeah, but like, I don't really think of the maybe because he's actually working on the Pioneer right now. You could do that. But typically, when the community hears orange,
wouldn't he have just said? Yeah, but wouldn't he have just? Yeah, exactly. That's why he said orange. Why didn't he just say Argo Salvage?
Because people would confirm it as Argo Salvage if you said
that's what I mean. If you say orange, he goes misdirect.
Yeah, but I think he's just being cheeky. I think he's just being cheeky.
All right.
I see the logic. I understand it, and I could see that happening because CIG
always give us rope to hang ourselves. You know that
they are very fond of their gotcha try to attempts. So see what was it what was the name of that the code name they used for that one event? X Penetrator Overdrive or something like that.
So Dell's saying in chat, Argo is known for orange. Yeah, but Consolidate Outland's only got 3 ships to this point. That's why. And 2 of them are tiny, and there's one massive one. This is my whole point, right? So I think it's a bit of, I don't know. Look, I'll freely admit it's an outlier.
I think it's a stretch,
but I just want to.
I can see where the stretch is coming from. It's not.
Yeah, I just want to say, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not Argo, but if it is Argo, I'm not going to be surprised either. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, wouldn't rule it out. But anyway, okay, good.
Okay,
yeah. But getting back to this, do you think that this is the one that we'll see at CitizenCon? Long story short.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, they tend to do like 1 or 2 ships at CitizenCon, and then at IAE they do 3. They usually do. Yep. They try to do a small, medium, and a large, and we already know the large is going to be the Polaris. So if the Perseus.
He did a me and Agrid. You saw that, right? It started with P, so we called it something else.
I do that all the time.
That's how it works. We do it too. Don't worry.
But it's going to be the Perseus, and we know that we now know that for sure that the Apollo is coming next month. So if the Apollo
was an outlier too. Me and Grim had talked about that. We wasn't sure where it was going to drop.
The medium ship is almost certainly if it's known as the Paladin, because the Paladin's in like Lot 0 as of like
pretty far along.
July. So it's not a big ship, so it would be and a lot of reuse assets. So you would need a small ship. So this is clearly not a small ship. I can see the next entry might be the one that
we'll see for the small vehicle, but
Mm.
for almost certainly, this just seems like it's going to be
Yeah.
a Citizen Con ship.
Yeah, and it's actually, I don't know if it's technically a small, it might be the smaller of the medium size, but it is on the smaller side of ships in
Yes.
general. It's
Mm.
when you look at the size of the player character next to it. I mean, one thing I would say is, um, if this ship is something like a surveyor, which is
Mm.
kind of what I'm hoping it's for, I
Me
still,
too.
even with the FPS scanning stuff, or the FPS scanning and the scanning stuff we've seen in the
Mm.
monthly reports that's coming along. I expect an announcement that we're getting the next version of scanning in game very, very soon.
That's an important thing to bring up. They do like to do ships that have gameplay coming online. He's
Yeah.
absolutely
Mhm.
correct.
I could see this being more the industrial version of the Terrapin, right? That Consolidated Outlands making this sort
Yeah.
of surveying ship. If that is not ready, though, let's say if, for example, CIG already knows that, or maybe they knew 6 months ago that that scanning stuff wasn't going to be able to launch this year or something. I could see a situation where maybe there's two variants, where one of the variants is sold at the end of the year, and it's the more commonplace one, like, oh, it's a little Consolidated Outland medium,
Vehicle like
exactly.
driver
And then, hey, we have this surveyor ship that will come out. And it's sort of like what they did with
with
the
the
Starlancer
Max.
series, where
Yeah.
they did not, where they announced the build, but even though it was a concept, they didn't concept sale it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just shown off, but it wasn't actually a concept sale event.
Mm.
I think they'll still do that maybe a little bit. But
Yeah.
personally, yeah, I hope it's a surveying ship, sort of an industrial
I,
Terrapin.
Yeah.
I think to think if it's a medium, I'm pretty sure it's a medium ship. I think we can kind
A
of agree
small
on
end
that,
of the
right?
medium,
Yeah.
though.
But all those mediums that we've seen, every single one of them has had a variant. Even the Apollo has a variant, right?
Yeah.
They are the most varianted ships in the entire lineup, and that's because they're the most common place people are going to land, right? So to think that this is coming as a solo, I'd be really, really surprised to ever see that. I've been very reluctant to recently to kind of even speculate on variants, because it's usually tied to gameplay that's coming, right? We do have outliers though that came, like the E1 and stuff like that, where they're often sitting there in the wings, the Marky Mark and stuff like that. So yeah, there's probably a variant or maybe even two that's not coming yet. But I think we'll, like you said, we'll at least be getting one. And then the one or the other will come as their gameplay comes online. I think that's
Yeah, I mean,
reasonable to
what
think.
will be exciting? Well, first off, I do hope they are smart about it and allow whatever Consolidated Outland ships they're creating specifically tie in as a support role to the massive Pioneer that
Yeah.
obviously a lot
Yeah,
of
well,
work and efforts
that's
go
my
into.
hope as well. I'm
But
not saying that they will do that directly, but I
yeah,
think it would be a bit of a. Look, I kind of start to think of like a lot of other manufacturers that have done. They all seem to have some kind of support craft.
well,
MPUV, Idris, the Carrack,
and
the Pisces, etc.
here's the thing too that is interesting to note. Um, I'm again real curious about the scale of this ship. Looking at the image, it's
Mm-hmm.
possible that this ship is of a scale that can maybe fit on the Pioneer pad. I doubt
Mhm.
it. It looks maybe a little long, but maybe we'll see.
Again, if it's a medium, I think it's built to fit that pad. I think
Yeah,
they've scaled it to like just fit in it.
yeah.
And you got to remember
If
the
it
one they
doesn't
had
tie
in
into,
the
yeah,
in the previous stuff, they had a Nomad and it had quite a bit of space around it. And the
yeah,
Nomad is a
it did.
larger S1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll say that
Oh, S2,
if it
sorry, S2.
doesn't tie into any sort of support role for the Pioneer, then I'm very
Mm.
interested in seeing where CIG, like what other gameplay loop CIG ties Consolidated Outland
Mm.
up with, because right now, what they've got combat fighters, they've got a general purpose ship
They're
in
the
in the Nomad, and then they got a
hey,
massive base builder.
we've got the law guy here. Let's ask him. So, Paul,
Mhm.
Elon Musk, yeah, basically, isn't that what he is? Elon Musk in space.
Effectively.
So, this is the other thing. I guess I can ask this about the salvage, because I often, like, they said that Argo does salvage, but we don't have any form of frame of reference for salvage when it comes to Argo, in my opinion.
No.
And the Mole is an outlier, so they've only just loosely been tied to mining as well. So please, fill us in there on Argo's industrial standards and Sinu's industrial standards, please.
Typically, Argo is seen as a support structure. So, like, usually Argo builds ships that support infrastructure that already exist, or to fill in the gaps of infrastructure that is yet to be built. So you have something like a raft being operating in an area that's not frontier but close to it, where there may not be facilities that are built specifically to load and unload. So it has its own tractor beam, it has that sort of thing. The NPUV is designed to support like stations and station keeping to like move things around. But it's designed. These are designed to be cheap. So like if a company that's sort of building up infrastructure around an area needs some sort of vehicle to just do a very specific role for infrastructure, they can do it. The SRV, the raft, the MPUV, all of these are sort of like support ships for infrastructure. Whereas Consolidated Outland is built more around the idea of kind of the Drake attitude, where they're sort of the frontiersman ships. They're designed to be super rugged and outdoorsy. Like the Pioneer is literally designed to build homes. You know, it's designed to build homesteads. Whereas and then the literal truck, flatbed truck, and then the Mustang is designed to be a cheaper alternative, or an alternative to the Aurora. So like a more rugged, or more more specifically designed, rather than completely utilitarian, functional for it. So
two follow-up questions. Which one of those two speaks more salvage to you? Because from what you said, it sounds like Consolidated Outland.
Consolidated Outland for sure. Yeah, like I would be surprised if Argo had a salvager, but then again, this is also the same. These are the same developers who took a pacifist, religious-based ship company and turned it into a war manufacturer.
I think they destroyed Algrid's dreams when he was asking those questions and said, dude, I told you for ages the lore don't matter. They just do whatever the fuck they want.
Lore is built for the game. The lore is built for the game, and if the game changes, the lore changes with the game. That's what it is.
That's it. Second question, based on tech levels, where do you think that Consolidated Outland and Argo fall? High, medium, low?
Argo is lower to medium, and Consolidated Outland is higher, probably like medium to high.
Because of the alien stuff,
because like the hover stuff, and like they're a little bit more like out there. They're more rugged. So like they're still Drake style, but they're like if Drake wanted to hide its wires and that sort of thing.
So Elon Musk, like where they have batteries catching on fire and all that shit.
Yeah,
they cut corners, but they're higher end.
Yeah, they're still
high end, but they come off low end.
Yeah, they're high end. They're high end for low life. So like if you're somebody who lives out in the ass crack of nowhere, they're going to be like, why don't you get yourself a Nomad so you can carry your stuff around? And people are like, oh, this is neat. And look, it's all cool. It makes me look cool compared to my friend who's flying a one engine on fire Cutlass around, you know, that kind of aesthetic. So.
Okay, that's a really interesting food for thought. Okay, I thought pretty much confirmed everything I thought.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I was on the right ballpark.
Chat saying the Nomad looks like it's like a Cybertruck. It's like, yeah, because it's the Cybertruck. It's literally CIG's take on the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Though it's also important to note that Silas Kerner, who is the founder of Consolidated Outland, is heavily inspired by Elon Musk, but like a lot of stuff in CIG, inspiration is not the final status. It's sort of they start there and then they work their way out. Like the UEE is Roman space, but it's not Roman space. It's not exactly. They just take some inspiration.
Don't forget to sprinkle in a little bit of that Matthew McConaughey voice
he is
too.
Definitely Matthew McConaughey. It's Matthew McConaughey if he was Elon Musk. Like it's that's what it is. You know.
Well, they used the guy's face from Silas Kerner, the guy that did the one-eyed eye patch guy from the Boardwalk Empire, the guy that plays what's the guy with the special ship? Silas, what's his name?
Silas Kerner.
Is that his name? The guy? No, not Silas Kerner. Silas Kerner's the Elon Musk guy. Who's the guy that's in Squadron 42? That's the ace pilot.
Oh yeah. You're talking
same face.
Yeah, he's same face. He's literally in Boardwalk Empire. Yeah, it's Houston.
Your favorite guy.
Yeah,
your favorite guy.
Yeah, he plays Cal Mason.
Yeah, that's it, Cal Mason. Yeah, but they used the same guy's face on both, so they'll probably redo him at some point. But
I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually Houston. I forgot his full name, but Jack Houston.
Last question. The Frontier, is that a good name that fits this ship in your
Yeah,
lore-based
100%. Mustang,
Yeah.
Old West. That is CNOU's
Yep.
like
Yeah.
full blown send it sort of thing. Pioneer, Nomad.
So we can now confirm they're never going to use that name. Right?
Yeah.
Good to know.
Now, if I was to get crazy with this ship, I
Mhm.
would love for it to be something that ties into upcoming gameplay heavily, like we know with crafting coming on board, either a
Mm.
crafting ship or at the very least a research ship that has the machines on there that can research
Yep.
and further refine blueprints, essentially the refinery ship for blueprints. Um, so that you can have access to all that while you're out on the frontiers with the pioneer building your base and stuff like that. So I would love for them to lean that way,
Mhm.
in terms of the ship role, something a little different. um,
Something by Consult Outland that's coming before the Pioneer comes.
Yeah.
And
yeah
we know
yeah
they seem to like to put two manufacturers of the same now in the same category, which I don't necessarily
yeah
agree with personally.
I'll
But
be totally
they
honest
like
with
to
you.
do that.
I'm really excited for this ship. I'm keeping my expectations
Same.
low. I'm literally at this point, I pretty much just convinced myself it's just going to be a medium cargo ship, not much different than the Nomad, because I
Mm.
don't think they're going to do that. So I feel like I'll be pleasantly surprised
That's
regardless.
why I've been reluctant to talk about variants, because I don't want to
Yeah,
hype myself up.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm just expecting a vehicle transport because of that low bay. I just
Mhm.
can't get away. Even expat, when she looked at it yesterday, said the same thing.
Because that's one of the
It's
biggest
just so low
problems.
to the ground.
That's one of the big problems they've
You
had
can't.
with vehicles is
Yeah.
that like trying to load and unload, you have to get this
Yeah,
gigantic ramp wherever you go, and
right.
it's a pain in the
Well,
butt.
so okay, well, let's talk about that for a second, because again, one of the main reasons, and CIG talked a little bit about this, but one of the main reasons that the MT or the not the MTC, the what's the little ground base builder, the little ground vehicle, the tiny
Oh
one,
yeah,
the
the Argo one, or no, the Gray Cat
Argo,
one. It's the Gray Cat one. It's the Gray Cat.
yeah, the
Yeah,
cargo, CSV, the
the CSV.
CSV, right?
Oh, that one.
That's
Yeah.
the FM version.
Okay.
The reason they did that instead of the big giant ground vehicles, because they said in the presentation, they said they wanted you to be able to throw it in the back of a Cutlass, because they didn't want medium base building to be locked behind a $400-$500 paywall, because that's what you would need to buy.
Mm.
That's what you would need to spend to get a ship that can carry a ballista sized vehicle. So I could also see this being a consolidated Outland ship that's able to carry that Argo CSV FM.
Yeah.
Literally a flatbed to carry that little builder.
Is it Argo?
Yep.
Or is it, I think it's Gray Cat.
So it seems there's
Is
a
it
lot
Gray
of
Cat? Maybe you're
crossover
right. Yeah, sorry,
between
Gray Cat. Maybe.
Yeah, it's Gray Cat.
Argo.
Gray Cat. Okay.
Oh wait, hold on.
No, it's not. The
I can't remember.
CSV is Argo, you idiots. It's the CSV is Argo.
Yeah, it is. It is Argo.
Come on.
Yeah, it is Argo.
Come on, you idiots.
I
Come
just
on. I don't have to tell you what
that's
it is.
what that goes
Yep.
again into the support infrastructure, because it's a cargo bay and it's a base builder, so it's
Mhm.
sort of like it's there to support.
Well, it's a dumb. Yeah, they help each other. You've got one transporting the cargo over to the pieces, so the other one can use it. You could probably put. I'd bet money you can put two of them in the back of this thing. One for the cargo and one for the actual building the
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah. Just if you want to keep on the theme of consolidated Outland being involved in base building, I could see a
Agreed.
vehicle that's perfectly situated
For that.
to that.
Yeah, I could see that.
And
It takes a medium vehicle or two of these. I'd give you that 100%.
and to go along the lines of that is another way of looking at this is if you look at the cutter, for instance. The cutter has a scout variant, it has a long range variant, and has the regular kind of standard cutter. But I could easily see this. One of the things that like the scout does is the scout is also a secret mining ship, because you can find nodes and then use a geo to go mining, or you can also put in a I think it can hold a the rock. I think it can hold a rock, just a regular rock. So
really quick, just while you're sitting there, Grim, can you do some quick pad sizing for me? Can you fit 4 CSVs inside a medium vehicle pad? Because my brain is now going what the Valkyrie did with the Cyclone, right? Can you put 4 in the back of this, or one or one medium? Is it like essentially a smaller Valkyrie? You see where
Right.
my math is going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where my brain's going. So just if you could do that, like, are we even in a ballpark of consideration, or am I one wacky weed? Sorry,
So I
sorry
will.
to tangent there, Paul.
It's okay. Apparently the rock can't fit in the Scout, but the we know that the Geo can. So with that concept, I could easily see this as being a explorer, because if it can also hold a Steve or a what is it, the Cyclone Explorer? I can't remember. It's not the MT.
RN, Cyclone RN.
The RN.
Yep.
So you could,
Yep.
if it could hold those and or a base builder, like you could see that suddenly this being sort of a support ship for the Pioneer means that it also has the ability, if it holds those vehicles, it can also still become a exploration, like a surveyor, because it could just fly to an area, drop off this thing that has a scanner, and drive around and scan those things, or also build for like a pre-build some stuff for them. So yeah.
That's kind of where my brain's going. If you can put 4 CSVMs or CMs, what the fuck they called it, acronym of names, small vehicle, in this thing, you can essentially do two things. You can either drop them off and build a small outpost, or you can plot them out around the outside of the Pioneer itself, and they can start building defense turrets and shit like that.
You could probably fit 4 inside a ship around that has a cargo or a hold area about as big as like the Zeus CLs. You could probably fit 4 pretty comfortably and have a little move around room.
How big are 4 compared to an Ursa, as an example? Are they in the ballpark, or are they too big?
How to like an Ursa? Oh,
because an Ursa's a medium. An Ursa's a medium vehicle. So I initially suspected this would be like a Freelancer Max, but more constrained around the vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, an Ursa is about 25% bigger than the CSV.
So you'd still only be able to fit 2 then, not 4. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to the last one, and then we'll start taking questions.
Yep.
Which is the slightly chubby ATLS chassis.
Yeah. So I think initial impressions of this has been one that I've kind of just not given a shit about. I'm going to be totally honest.
Because it's a vehicle.
But I the initial, there's 2 thoughts. I think, would you agree with these, that we've kind of settled down to the last 2? It's either the base building thing that they showed off years ago, the trailer thing, or it's a medical variant.
Yeah, I could see this as being a medical variant, or it's definitely an Atlas chassis. I think there's some weird lighting and stuff like that, but it's almost certainly, it has all the lines of an Atlas chassis. I don't see it being that much different. So, if it is,
I think
it's actually got more wheels than a normal Atlas. If you count the wheels, there's more than 8.
Well, there's also some shadow funky things going on.
Yeah, so I think this might be one of the ones that I could be wrong, but they mentioned on the roadmap it had some problems with its animation movement, and I think it's because it's a trailer. Now, they do have trailers in real life on some things that are very similar to APCs, where the reason there's a trailer is it's a taller height so people can stand up to do medical practicing in the back, because you need to be able to stand up to operate on people and stuff like that. And I got told that by some of the military people. So I could see it also with the Apollo coming online. There is clearly something that's been worked there as in medical gameplay, and there's going to have to be changes there. So there is probably more of a need now for a potential medical vehicle that's a bit more armored than Ursa. But also, I wouldn't rule out base building either coming online soon as well. So I could see either of those. I don't really give a shit one way or the other, but that's just kind of where I'm sitting. I'll let you weigh in, Grim.
If it was base building, it would have to be 2 large drones instead of the 4 large drones that service from the Starlancer build. I think this would have 2 large drones. The only reason I don't think it's that is because, again, we're base building's not coming out anytime soon, so I don't think this is what this is. I mean, we still have prerequisites for base building. We need to come online, like crafting and resource management and stuff. But I honestly think it's medical.
And they're all finishing really soon.
That's true. I mean, you're not. That is very true.
The thing that has been a blocker for that, though, has been that CIG has, and they talked about Vulcan, for instance, but like a couple months
Mm.
ago, and I forget who it was, who's like the head, like one of the members of that team, if not the head of the team, who constantly was like, they're like, why don't you release the Vulcan? It doesn't seem like that would be a feature. And he was like, yeah, but if we release it, it could break things. And if it broke things,
Right.
it's disruptive enough that we don't want to put it. So like they could have a lot of this stuff done, but they were afraid that if they drop it into the game, it's going to cause havoc enough to the point where they won't have their
I-
year of stability. So
I'll be honest with you. I do think, just in terms of base building, for those that are very excited about it, and I am one of them. It's actually the primary reason I'm into Star Citizen is base building. Seeing what Warcraft has been doing with because they're bringing where you can build your own house now in World of Warcraft, that's coming online for the next expansion. But they've really leaned into that. They're almost promoting that more than the expansion as a whole. I can see CIG doing the same thing with building, like base building coming online. It's not going to be something that's just like, oh, yep, coming. I think next year is going to be the year of making your home in the verse, and we're going to build up to it. It's going to be a long build. I think we're going to get the prerequisites coming out first to put us in a good position for it. That'll include everything from engineering and resource management to crafting to blueprints. Again, we need blueprints for all that stuff. And then we're going to build up to this big
Inventory.
release sometime late next year, hopefully for base building tier
Yeah.
1. So
I think everything that we need for base building is actually on the roadmap, and it is starting to wrap up. Yeah, it might not quite land this year, but I think we're going to see the infancy probably in a tech preview or something like that. I do think it will be something that when it comes in. You also remember we technically haven't taken a new engine update since the beginning of the year because of the year of stability.
we
So
haven't
when
even
that
seen final
finally-
UI for base building either.
Yeah, but when that
Yeah.
hits, you got to imagine there's essentially 8 months of work that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
And if you pull up the roadmap poll and you have a look, there's like 5 or 6 really big things all finishing at the end of this year, and one of them was crafting. That was it was almost, if it had an extra 2 weeks, it would have been exactly 2 years of development. 102 weeks that is a huge development arc. And then so it was crafting, engineering, base building, and then the inventory rework is in there, and they all end before the end of this year. Like they all end, I think the latest is early November for all of them.
Right.
that remember though, that's the sprint, and they could add
Yes, I
more
know.
things, and it's
I know.
just sort of, you know.
Yeah,
I will say,
again, I'm giving them an additional 2 months to get to Christmas time.
Yeah.
I will say the obvious thing is not only because we have the Apollo coming out, but we know they even said in SCL there's some things coming to medical gameplay. They didn't make a promise or commitment to that, but they did mention that. And the fact that we're in this storyline of the regen crisis stuff. I could very easily see this being a medical vehicle. I also think the Nursa is a popular ground vehicle. Probably out of all the ground vehicles, I think it's probably a pretty popular seller. And I could see them just going, why don't we just make a bigger one?
Yeah.
It's got 2 medical beds in it, or
Or-
3. It just seems like a
or a
no-brainer and
size
an easy
2.
onboarder.
A tier
Yeah,
2 bed.
or a size 2. And it just seems like an easy onboarding. No, I shouldn't say easy. It's all difficult, but it seems like the perfect onboarding.
Oh yeah. You already have something there. Let me spin to something, because we do. The rumor is that tier 3 is going to lose its regen capability soon. So let me spin you a tale of a conspiracy. This is the way that people will think. I don't necessarily think this is how CIG thinks, but I could see this as a way that people will think, which is this is a tier 2 medical bed vehicle, so that when tier 3 loses its regen, they go, oh, your Nursa sucks now? Well, don't worry. You can upgrade for another $100 and get yourself a tier 2. So you just have to pay a little bit more money and you get the best thing again.
What did the Spartans and in the Roman army? What was their medics called? A Medicae or something like that? Medivicus or whatever. That's what this will be called if it's a medical. They'll just take the army, Spartan, Centurion, Ballista, whatever the Romans called their army medics. That's what this will be called. Almost, I wouldn't want to guarantee it, but I think it'll be in there. I think it's called Medicae or something like that.
Medicae is how they say it in
Medicus or something like that.
Medicae is how they do it in 40K, and in the 40K universe they call it that, which is heavily based off of it. But Mediki or Medicus. Yeah, Medicus or Mediki. Because it says K is their C. So Mediki.
Oh,
I mean,
Capisaurus or Capisarii is what comes up when I look it up. I put in
Yeah.
Roman Army Combat Medic and it said Capisaurus.
It could also be called the Hippocrates or something like that because Hippocrates is Hippocratic oath.
Hippocratic.
You know? Yeah.
Yep. So there's a couple of different ways I can go there. But yeah, all right. So the last thing I kind of want to go over before Grim, this will kind of include what Grim wants to talk about as well, is like what you mentioned before, Paul. You mentioned that they tend to have certain ships sold at different points. So we tend to, let's look at AIE as an example. So traditionally you have a small, a medium, and a large, right? We know we're getting the Perseus.
Mhm.
What I want to actually talk about is the starter, right? Now there is no starter in that lineup, right? We know that the Intrepid came out last year, that there's probably Intrepid variants, but I don't think the Intrepid variants are tied with gameplay that's available yet.
I think so, yeah.
And I think I just want to wait. I'm just going to say it straight out, and you shoot me down. I think the RSI Salvager might be the starter.
Yeah, I think so, 100%. Because it's the Golem. They kind of reference it in the references of a Golem-like ship, and that was before the Golem was fully released. And then the Golem came out, and it was, oh, this is like literally a starter miner. So, yeah.
And if you remember, I think they kind of gave us the first hints towards the RSI Salvager when they talked about the Kruger
Exactly.
concept, and the
Yeah.
RSI Salvager looked further along when they showed it than the Kruger concept.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So now I'll let Grim take it away because this is Grim's little gem, but I think it's a cool idea, and I think
We're talking about the other ship, the fifth one.
You do you. I don't want to take any
Okay.
credit. It's all yours. You
Well,
go ahead.
I think, based off, if you go back and watch the SCL, they do have a couple of interesting like little hints where they're winking and nodding at each other, and they do it at two specific times. Or a couple times. The first one is when John Crew is thinking of the rest of the bespoke weapons coming for the remainder of the year, and he
Yes.
says we have one more. It's the Perseus, and Jared corrects him and says, no, there's two more. Don't forget the gun on the other one, which led me to believe it's a ship that's already a known quantity out in the verse, so that's why it slipped John's mind. And it makes sense that it would be the Ares because they also talk about the Ares and they kind of link back to that same little inside joke. And then for those that don't know, earlier this year when the Idris released, I posted on Twitter and said we need a beam version of the Ares. We need a beam weapon version of the Ares. And Ben Curtis, who does not respond to every tweet, by the way,
Nope.
he responded to that tweet with a wink emoji. It would make sense that they kind of like John would forget about the Ares variant because it's probably been sitting there for a while and it's such low hanging fruit. That's what I think.
I'm going to add this to you. Do you also remember that they said that this was the year of beam weapons?
They said this was the year of beam weapons. That's another good tidbit.
One.
Right, exactly. And the other thing, and then the last little bit was that when they were talking about bespoke weapons, and specifically in regards to the Wolf, they kind of wink and nodded to the idea that later this year you might be able to switch those out. So I kind of got my thinking is we're going to get an Ares variant, but I also think we might also be seeing some bespoke weapon switch out options for some of those ships.
Just like the Nova.
Like kits. Yeah. We also got rated.
Well, think
Atmo Esports.
Hey, Atmo Esports with the raid. Sorry, I can't see anything because we're currently I'm currently trying to do all these stuff. But welcome everybody. We're talking ships. So we're talking the silhouette ships that from that, and also what ships we're going to see at the end of the year. So
kits.
So in terms of that ship, though, I do think an Ares variant is coming. I think you can. I'm putting my money on it.
I would love to see a laser beam Ares variant. I think people would love that.
I think the name they have to go with is the Hyperion, because it's the
Ion.
The name
what is the other one? It's the
Ares. Ares is the god of war, and Hyperion was the god of the sun. So like shooting beams.
Yeah, I can see that.
VMXEO said the Ares proton, sort of like proton pack.
I can see that.
I like it. I'm going with it.
I like it too. That's a
Or
good
just
voice.
the Ares beam, because sometimes CIG doesn't
Yeah.
have fun names.
Yeah,
They just go
yeah.
beam.
It would be super low hanging fruit, easy for a new ship
Mm.
artist to deal with.
Yeah.
It would be a bespoke weapon, so not something that it
Mm.
would be easily integratable because it just has to integrate into that one
Does that
thing.
also mean they go back and do things like the Banu Defender and make them go back into beams as well? Because of things they've said in the past. So maybe that's what it is. It's an update
Possibly.
over across the board to also
Possibly.
add beam weapons as generalized weapons that you can put on any ship.
Yeah, possibly. Yep.
And again, because that's a new gameplay, they sell a ship like the Ares as a kit
Yeah.
around it. No, I could totally see that.
I'm less convinced of the bespoke weapon options. I hope that's what we're getting because I would love that flexibility. But
They
Ares
did kind of
variant,
mention it too.
they did kind of
They did-
mention it.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch that SCL and really listen to how they joke with each other about a few of those things, it's pretty.
Algrid
pretty
got
clear.
really caught up on it. He went over it with a fine tooth comb, so I was forced to listen to it quite a few times.
There's
But yeah,
there's also one other
he
thing.
was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say he's pretty much was really wanting to confirm that they're probably going to bring out Wolf
Beam weapons.
no, there's a name. They're on the Saber Raven. They're size 3s, but he's talking about made by Kruger. They're on the Saber Raven. Quarreler,
The Quarreler,
laser,
laser cannons.
Yeah, those. But size 4s for the Kruger.
I can see that. Now, so the other thing that's important is that during that SCL they mentioned that they have a vehicle with a PDC.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Whoa.
like a
Who
new
said that?
vehicle.
Where was that again? Sorry.
That was at SCL. They it was either Jared or
That's definitely that trailer then, because in real life they have like sea whizzes on the back of trailers
called,
on APCs.
we talked. They talked about it.
So what if that trailer is modules? You cycle off and put different things on the back.
It could be
A command center, different turrets. Ooh.
because they also mentioned
Ooh.
they intentionally mentioned what's going on with modules and like you could see it in John kind of going, oh,
CRAM, that's it.
Yeah,
He's got
CRAM.
it. The guy who was that?
C
Who said
Daddy.
that? C Daddy. C Daddy knows. He's from CIT.
confirmed. But he was also in the military, so he knows that, and he was in the army.
I'm just giving him shit. When they come with the bus, we know who to throw. Yeah.
But no, yeah, I could see that because John also did seem to like because they intentionally brought up modularity, and so like Jared chose these questions. They were good questions. All of them were really good questions, but Jared chose the 30 of the 40, and he intentionally chose that one. And they usually only like it happens with like the lore team often. Like when they do these sorts of things, they pick the questions that they want to answer, and usually those questions are related directly to something they're working on right at that time because CIG is awful at keeping secrets. It's just what they do. It's how they work because they want to talk about it. So.
Well, they're passionate people.
Yeah.
Of course they want to talk about where
they work. They spend hundreds of hours on these things, and they want people to like them because they spend 100 hours on this damn thing. So
that is the worst part about criticizing ships, right?
Yeah.
I have to be honest and call things as them are, and I don't know if you guys feel the same. And people shit on me when I shit on things, but I have to be honest. And like, if something's not up to par, I'll call them on it, and I do feel bad, but I'm not going to just do it to fake it. I'm gonna give my critique, like, and I'll take the hate. If it makes better ships, it's like you said about the Redeemer. You just want it to be a better ship. I'm exactly the same for all the ships I crap on. I just want them to be better. But I also, if I agree with a ship, I'll sing its praises. You know, I think I'm pretty fair. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. That's how I felt about the what was it called? The Intrepid. I just like, this is good. I like it. I want to like it. Just make it not shit, please. Like, just give it a purpose, please. You know,
it's just a bit too boxy. I think that's the only thing I didn't like about it. I didn't give a shit about the asymmetry. It makes sense because of how small it is. I get all that, but they went slightly too boxy with it. Like, it just needs probably like one extra angle in it to give it a, like, maybe a hexagon instead of a box. Like,
make those cargo bays, stealth, so it becomes a baby's first smuggler ship. You know,
Yeah.
It's already got that
Well-
sort of mini Millennium Falcon because it's supposed to be kind of like a mini
Yeah.
Star Runner. So
Yeah. And C Daddy said there in chat, different ammo types is the current plan. I mean, again, that could also, just talking about the bespoke weapons for a minute, that could just go into maybe it's something like that,
makes
where we'll see
that
that's how their customization comes in
that's
is
got to
through
come
the
from
ammo
the
types.
that's got to come from the Perseus. He's
Yeah.
100% right. That's what the weaponry factor's got to be.
yeah,
Because they've got to do it for the Perseus. So why the hell wouldn't they do that for everything else?
I think did they say they were going to use the Perseus as the basis for the weapon
Yes.
factor? Yeah, for the ammo
But if it's
stuff.
there, if
Yeah.
that system is there and you've created it,
You're going to use it for other
goddamn
ships.
injection.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you use it for other ships?
You,
Yeah.
you build a ship
good
or a
point.
vehicle specifically to do that. Yeah.
And
It's like
and
this
with
guy from
and with-
CIT has inside sources. Why can't we get him on here more often?
Well, and it's with when further systems come into the game too, maybe some of these being soon, it could
Mm.
it could really make some of those other ammo types really interesting. So for example, incendiary rounds when we do get fire, you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
the or in Maelstrom, who knows what will come. It's I could see different ammo types really getting kind of creative and fun. So.
And they've recently talked about how they're planning on doing the reloading ammo because they already had the plan for it, which is there's going to be a central location where you go take boxes and you attach them to some sort of grid, and
Yep.
then the grid will then feed that ammo out of the grid, and then
Yep.
you have to pull the boxes out, replace them, and it's going to be in a central
Yeah.
location. So
But this will propagate too. It'll go from weapons to FPS, even bombs. Think about all the different bombs you need in the A2 as an example.
Mhm.
The fighters, can you have cluster bombs? Can you have gas bombs? Can you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Can you have incendiary bombs? You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 5 grenades in the game, but we've only got 1 grenade in the game, but we've seen images for 5 for like over a decade now.
Yeah.
Yep.
EMP grenades, incendiary grenades,
Yeah.
smoke grenades. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's really cool. That's really
the
really
last
cool.
thing I would probably say, just going back to the Ares and the bespoke weapon conversation, is while I would like to see them open up the ability, for example, for some of those bespoke weapons to be switched in and out. So, for example, if you got the Inferno, you could slap on the Ion's gun. With the other internal things changing, the only reason I doubt that they're going to do that is because then it's actually like starting to switch the skew
It's-
of the ship.
I
So
I
anyway,
ju-
yeah,
I've just
just
had
a
an
caveat
epiphany.
to kill any
The-
hopium.
The Intrepid had that big ass gun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If there's a variant, it's a beam weapon variant.
Oh, I can see that. But it's not a bespoke weapon. It's a
Originally
No,
was a
no,
bespoke,
no,
but it's not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? So I think that
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
just saying, like if Ares could do it, why wouldn't they also do it on the Intrepid? Just
here's
just
the
food for thought, yeah.
here's the thing.
Yeah,
It
okay.
is 53 minutes in to our question and answer session,
Yeah, so
and we
you
haven't
just give me
taken
the
a
whole episode.
single.
Why are you complaining?
I know.
Why are you complaining?
I'm tempted to just end this and to just do another question and answer session, but
Yeah, that's what we should do. Let's
yeah.
do it, and you'll make more views. Just do it. Do it. End it.
okay, special bonus episode. All right, so thank you for watching the special bonus episode of the Captain's Table. Next, we'll come back real quick because we won't take a break. We'll just go right into it, taking your questions and answers.
And for CIG's benefit, leave in the comments why C-Daddy should not be fired.
Yes.
CIG,
To be
not
fair,
firing
C Daddy was simply responding to somebody else in chat when they said, "I think
Sure
they
he
were
was.
doing that." So
Yeah, sure he was.
that's my defense. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And like I say every time,
Yep.
hope to see you someday. The Black.
Smile, Greg.